call the Fire District Board special meeting to order. Now I'm operating in Kathy and Aaron's world. I have a meeting tonight.
Yeah.
So, everybody silence their cell phones. Try to refrain from texting. So we have approval of the agenda.
Roll call.
Oh, roll call.
Sorry. Rory. Beckman.
Here.
Fox.
Here.
Verplank.
Here.
Phelps.
Here.
Meridian.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Okay. Can we have approval of the agenda, please?
I'll approve the agenda as it stands.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All right, we have time for public comments on agenda items only. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. For anybody that wishes to speak. All right, we have no unfinished business. We have new business, cost recovery. Feel there's been a lot of things in social media, there's been a lot of things in the paper. The article yesterday was most disturbing about cost recovery, as it is not how cost recovery goes.
Is that the editorial that we all got copies of?
Yeah, it's
By
Chris-
Mr. Yoder?
Mr. Yoder
Okay.
put a letter to the editor in the Howland Sentinel. And I think this just goes on to say what we need to do here tonight. So,
You probably have a copy of it.
there's a copy of it in your packet.
Packet.
It should be in that front document with the Facebook post, I think.
Like this one?
It's the last
It's the
page of
last
that
couple
one.
pages of that packet.
You mean
Oh,
here?
yeah, it was just handed down.
Yeah, this letter right here is the one that was in the Howland Sentinel yesterday.
Can I make a comment, Lou?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Well, I kind of feel like I'm behind this a little bit because I wanted to have this meeting and didn't need to know that it had to be Monday, but I'm glad we did. But I'm getting a little frustrated. I'm getting questions from a lot of people about cost recovery, how it works, why we have it. I've been on this board for 10 years now. John and Block and I and Scott, we had it.
We had it back then.
I'm sure it's changed a little bit over the years. There's a misconception that when we come to your house to put out a fire, you're gonna get a bill. And, I do not wanna make this political. I don't care too much about it. I'm a citizen of the township and I will vote, but that's not why I brought this up. Unfortunately, the two incidents or reasons why we're talking about this is a result of an election. Obviously, Brad's comment, and I'm not going to talk about it, but it was on his reelection, and the comment from Mr. Yoder in the Howland paper. Obviously, the last line on that is, I know the incumbents represent me, so this is both political. And when they start taking shots at the cost recovery, I take it a little personal and slanderous to this board that is behind and has approved cost recovery wording and stuff like that. So, I know Greg's a big boy. People have been taking shots at him forever now. And I hate to say it, but this is taking shots at a board, and we're just trying to do the best for the public. We don't feel that, people breaking the law to do things, other taxpayers should be paying those dollars. I don't want to pay for this fire department to go put out a fire that was started by some, kids that didn't give a crap about something. So, I feel like I'm a little bit behind this thing, pushing, getting this started, but the community needs clarification on what cost recovery is, why we do it, and who we do it for. So, that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you for your 2 cents. I guess I picked up your ball and ran with it, because I really feel it's important to get this out there. I mean, we're really getting beat up over this, and
Yes.
it's not fair.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is there anything new here, or is there any new practices, policies, actions, behavior, or is this an issue that's been there for a long, long time? I guess why is it coming up as
Now.
urgent now?
Because of the article in the paper and because of a post on the I don't even know what you call that.
It's the
It's for-
Facebook page for reelection of the 4 township members.
Okay.
And also the piece that was in the commercial record written by Ralph Troutman that also talked about cost recovery and the facts that he states as facts aren't even close.
Okay.
So-
And stated him as a former fireman,
Fireman, yeah.
which makes it sound like shit.
Like he might be
Ralph
taking-
didn't write that.
No kidding.
You know Ralph, you know him.
I do know Ralph, and I'm certain you're right.
I guess the problem with all this is, I told Steve today, it's not political, I just said it again. But the stuff that is coming out is being used as a political, trying to get advantage, and the information that they're using is not 100% correct. My mother-in-law asked me Friday night about the cost recovery. She's kind of freaked out about it. And that's not the point of it all.
No.
It's the point to save her money.
Yeah. So it's only, there's really nothing new, but some things are causing us to resurface with concerns.
Yeah.
And there's misinformation or
Right.
wrong information out
Right.
there.
I
And
think
We
it's-
haven't
John
changed
started it
our policy.
20 years ago, I think,
Yeah.
we started cost recovery,
Right,
close
we
to
haven't
it.
changed the policy.
I think Eric's right, it's politics, and somebody is seized on selective facts or alternate interpretations that will get people's attention, and it'll get your attention if you think you have to pay when the fire department comes. Not only is that incorrect, it risks safety for somebody who might have a small fire and go, oh, I don't want to get, let me try and tackle it with this hose, and the next thing you know, they're in the hospital or worse.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's truly irresponsible. It's remarkably irresponsible.
Or there can be a medical call that they
Same
don't
deal.
want. They don't want to call the fire department because they're afraid they'll be charged.
And if there is a dispute on it, we have a written policy, and that's what the new Board of Appeals is for, correct? I mean, somewhat, if there was a dispute.
Well,
No,
that went to the
Board of
board.
Appeals is for the fire code, and that's one of the things that's kind of being misinterpreted. Can I just
Yes,
politely refer to
Please
this?
do.
Okay, so the September 25th dialogue starts out with one of the most important changes we made to the IFC, International Fire Code, was to change cost recovery. There is no cost recovery in the fire code.
That's right, it's a separate thing, I remember now. Yep, I
Yeah, I
remember
think
that.
that's it.
That's the first interpretation I saw on this, and it goes on, and I won't go down that road right now, but the appeal process is contingent on what it is and what area it is. Township and, or Saugatuck and Douglas have the same cost recovery ordinances. They mirror one another. Township is different. Anything other than on the highway, a motor vehicle incident, we have our own appeals board through the fire board. The appeal process with a fire or anything else other than a motor vehicle incident would go to the township, if it was within the township.
So did the township do other things to change cost recovery?
Definitions and parameters, yes. They felt it was being misused, misapplied, and I think what's important is you look at the spreadsheet, there's a cost recovery team. The core of the team is Eric Kirkchurch, John Miles, and myself. I just don't go writing up bills, we look and we discuss it. What fits the criteria? It's not always easy. Was it 100% preventable? That's a big thing. But it was never meant to be punitive. It was really for fiscal responsibility. Why should the taxpayers keep paying for like illegal activity? For example, there was a burn barrel, and there was plastic and rubber in that burn barrel. So you'll see that in the cost recovery. the person wouldn't pay for it. Township allowed us to put it on the real estate taxes, subsequently paid for it. Another was an illegal burn on a fire on an Easter Sunday. And it was a burn, and it burned the whole field. We had a lot of calls on it. We sent them a bill. The person was upset. Roy McElwain, Jane met with the person who lit the fire, got nowhere. They put it on the tax roll. The woman who owned the house paid for it. So you can see the history in 5 years of what we did. It also shows, on the third page, it also shows that of the township residents, we have subsequently billed for a little over 0.5% of the cost recovery incidents. 7 incidents.
Total.
And it just seems to be embellished and exaggerated and taken out of context. And that's why we were keeping track of this, so we could, and you could see it. And you could see there was no activity in township for 17 and 18 fiscal years.
7 incidents total in a year, or whatever?
I'm sorry?
In 5 years.
Seven incidents in 5 years.
5 years, and you get
Right.
like 130 calls a month or something like that. And people are thinking we charge them all the time.
Right.
Seems outrageous.
To me, it's not fair, and it's inaccurate, it's very deceptive.
But it also, you know, it doesn't look good on the fire department, it doesn't look good on this board.
Yeah.
And when there's false, fake news out there, I think we need to correct it.
And I think the question is, how do you correct misinformation in a way that doesn't continue to escalate the political battle?
That's
I think
a
you're-
great way to put it.
You want to do this? Eric's comment last meeting
Uh-oh.
prompted me, well, I mean, to try and, which I thought it was good, there's like you say, there's misinformation out there. How do you attack it without attacking the people who are spreading the misinformation? Let the reader decide where they're hearing it, whether it was their next door neighbor, or whether it was Ralph Troutman in the newspaper, whatever. Let them decide. You're not going to, no names, no assertions as to who's doing what for whatever reason they might have. So the way to fight that is with factual information delivered from a credible source, which I think this board is and ought to be. So I thought, well, what the hell, I'll take a shot. I've written plenty of stuff, as you know. I'll take a shot with the commercial record, where rather than a press release, we'll do it as a letter to the editor, which I would be willing to bet my bottom dollar would be published. A letter to the editor from the board, from this board, will be published, particularly when it deals with facts and misapprehension and so forth. So I took a shot at writing that, and I sent a copy because I didn't want to trigger the open meetings thing, so I just sent a copy to Jane. She's made some changes, some of which are too much, but we'll get into that. And then there's something missing here that I think needs to, but I'll read it, and then I'll give you a copy if you want it, or I can give you a copy as I read it.
If we agree, we'd all sign it, or?
Well, yeah, that's the idea. It would go under our, we don't have to sign it.
From the fire board.
Yeah, with our names, absolutely with our names. So it says, Editor, Commercial Record, the Saugatuck Township Fire District Board, made up of representatives appointed by each of the 3 served jurisdictions, Saugatuck, Douglas, and Saugatuck Township, would like to dispel misinformation currently making its way through local rumor mills. Specifically, various untrue assertions that cost recovery efforts by the fire department are 1, new, 2, unusual, 3, arbitrary, and/or 4, unfair. First, cost recovery, whereby the fire district aims to recoup some parts of its accessible costs incurred in conjunction with rescue, firefighting, and emergency medical services provided from any or all responsible parties. I think this is too legally, but taxpayer-funded expenses related to services rendered, either to beneficiaries who are not local taxpayers, as is the case for most traffic accidents on I-196, or rendered when the responsibility for the fire services is a direct consequence of proven gross negligence on the part of a property owner, was unanimously adopted by each jurisdiction. The city of Saugatuck, the city of the village of Douglas in September 2006, Saugatuck City in July 2009, and by the Saugatuck Township Board in December 2008. Policy has been in place since until the township modified the cost recovery ordinance in November 2017. Second, rather than being unusual, cost recovery is a common practice among fire service providers in these times when costs have risen dramatically. Taxpayers rightly disapprove of giving away services they fund to those who either don't pay or whose negligence caused the need in the first place. As but one example, the International Fire Chiefs Association endorses cost recovery as sound public policy. Third, there is nothing arbitrary when cost recovery is sought. Two examples illustrate this. A recent barn fire was the direct result of an owner's installation of an illegal wood-burning stove, including a chimney installed backwards, triggering the district's cost recovery effort. In another instance, to help cover costly services rendered after a one-vehicle accident with injury on I-196, the STFD sought a payment from the out-of-state motorist who was at fault. The district was successful in spite of a legal challenge. Fourth, cost recovery is a straightforward good business practice. In some cases, there may be little, if any, out-of-pocket cost to the citizen. Many homeowners' insurance programs already provide coverage for some of the fire or rescue services provided by the jurisdiction. The citizen already pays for this insurance, so submitting a claim to insurance is simply using the insurance protection that is already paid for. The fire chief and his professional emergency services team are the agents of local taxpayers. They administer a budget of $1,219,000 annually in the face of an overall increase of 60% and 63% in total calls and 327% in other calls for service since 2004. As part of our fiduciary responsibility, the board-directed cost recovery policy is in place simply to get the compensation for taxpayers who fund the services. Accidental fires, such as those caused by a faulty electrical outlet or aging appliance, do not trigger cost recovery. Further, a formal appeals process is in place to provide for challenges to any cost recovery decision. Finally, the STF board takes its oversight responsibilities seriously. Our meetings are generally open to the public with agendas published in advance. We actively solicit and listen to responsible public comment, suggestions, and other input. We do not, however, condone misinformation, rumor mongering, or political gamesmanship when it comes to the fire district's important work.
I would say take out generally, Art.
Always,
Generally, it's always.
Well, but if
always.
it's a closed meeting, closed session, that's
No,
what.
I'd
that's
still
what
take
that
out
was.
generally.
People probably aren't that.
The other thing that needs to be added is how few of these there have been.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I provided this. to-
Yeah, no, that's terrific. It needs to be.
Let's put the chart right in,
They won't publish that.
I think we gotta be careful, that I agree with everything on there, but it's very wordy.
Well,
And maybe we should bullet point and have one or two things,
we can edit it.
but what I'm saying is, and refer them to our website where that whole information could be put on there and downloaded, and all the cost recoveries, we have.
Well,
we
those
can do
charts
that,
can
right?
go on
We
our
could add the
website.
We
ordinance
can
right
do
on the
whatever you
website.
That's what I mean, we could put the township's cost recovery on ours and the two cities, and refer people to our website if they really want to dig into it. But what I think we need to do is touch on the points, get a little information to everyone, make them feel warm and fuzzy, and then if they want to divulge into it further, refer them to somewhere else.
We could cut this in half.
Yeah, maybe you and Greg could come up with proper.
Don't let Aaron do it, he's a great writer, he would add to it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
want a copy of it if you want.
I'm usually paid by the word, that's why there's so many words.
Aaron's the man.
But you put the percentage of calls in there, I think that'll hit
Well,
hard.
and just the overall
I
number.
mean,
Yeah.
the number of,
That's
I mean, the cost recovery,
Yeah,
because that to me is, this is a mountain out of a molehill.
It is.
And it's a big mountain and a small
and I think
molehill.
that's a big point to make.
You do 300-400 calls a year, okay, we're on track for 900.
Right, not that many people are negligent, in other words, but why should taxpayers?
But you also made a very good point, that if your aging appliance goes up, we're not gonna bill you for it.
Well, that's
And
why I
that's
put that in there,
the
because
misconception,
there was a remark made someplace about,
in here.
yeah, if you put a light socket in
Yeah.
backwards or
Yeah.
not.
You change an outlet in your home or a light fixture, also rummaging through your house for a reason to charge you to fight a fire.
It's just so disrespectful.
Well, I do have a question about that paragraph on here, and I just got here and read it, but who put in that furnace? Was it a professional? Because they ought to be able to recoup their cost recovery from
Well,
the
if you
furnace
ask,
company.
I will respond. So, had a permit been taken out, and a homeowner, I have the right, Eric has the right to work in his house, I have the right to put in that, it was a wood-burning appliance. Had a permit been taken out, first thing he would have found is solid fuel burning appliances shall not be installed in any garage.
Okay. So the
That to
person
me was
didn't get the
preventable, we should have been
permit.
there.
That's not
There's
clear
a
in
whole
this.
lot more electrical. All, they had the meter pulled because the electrical was on the ground, and there's just photos of it, if you had seen it, and then we had acetone piled next to a wood stove.
Yeah,
The chimney was in backwards. We should have never been there.
right. I see.
And then I
This
had
doesn't
chimney-
make that clear, the
two
graph.
people-
No.
No,
No kidding.
So let's get to the facts. If you want the truth, maybe you should look at the file, and that's why I sent it to Eric. Wait a minute, this has been painted as, it happened this way, a furnace. It was a wood-burning stove. It
Yeah.
wasn't even allowed in there.
I also think that putting in, as well, a specific part in the letter about the accident on 196. Because if you can find a single taxpayer in any of these three jurisdictions that thinks it's a good idea
Oh, yeah.
to have their tax money be paying for these idiots out there that can't see the big arrows and drive off the road and almost kill themselves, and then have to have all these guys respond,
That are drunk.
that are drunk, this is crazy,
Yeah.
so nobody would.
Well, I thought-
Kathy, what the chief isn't telling you about the Daniel Drive fire, his daughter, son-in-law, and grandkids live 50 feet away from that barn.
Oh.
Chris
Oh,
Bernhardt
Pretty damn
was one who saw
close.
it.
Wow.
He was coming to work, he came in and says, "We got a fire at the end of Daniel Drive." That's how we got there.
It was the night of a board meeting. It was the board meeting that Greg left
Wow,
to go
right.
fight a fire.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you not bringing, personal things into that. We know it as a fire on Daniel Drive. That's fine.
Right.
I happen to know a little bit more because I know,
Well, we also got a thank you letter from the homeowner.
This was a garage attached to the house, correct?
It was a freestanding
It was a free
garage.
All right.
Barn garage, the mechanical and building official said it was a garage.
But that invoice, the number was wrong on this post? Is that correct?
Well, yeah, the original invoice was $7,543. The homeowner said the insurance company won't cover it because I didn't get a permit. So he was like,
So it was
I'll
a-
pay. So what I did is, trying to be price sensitive, I went to the neighboring fire chiefs and I said, would you guys consider reducing
Right.
your truck charges? Every one of them said, yep, go ahead, and then just reimburse for the labor.
So you got the thank you notes and all
That's what
that.
happened. So that was $3,600 savings. But it sure seemed to be twisted around on what was sent to me, and I had a phone call about it too.
Our township supervisor actually somewhat defends ourselves in his post in here.
Wow.
I mean, if you read it,
I haven't read this.
I mean, he does. Not 100%, but, like you said, his brother is a fireman. Friend.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he does explain what they're for and, how it's used. Now, he does say they're not intended to fund normal operating expense, and we agree with, I agree with that.
Yeah, he's still on Holland's department.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to add a comment on that. When I first became chief in 2013, we had a fire. on Wiley Road. You guys all know what I'm talking about. And it was so windy, we were losing the house next door. Sheridan's house was on fire, burning to the ground. Had no hydrant that would work. We were trucking in water, we had 9 tankers, and we were losing it. And all said and done, the fire was out. Brent Sheridan called me and said, "Craig, you ought to go after cost recovery on the fire." I said, "Really, is that okay?" He says, "Yeah, the insurance policy has that built in. Fire service charges, there's different names. Fire service charges, $500 to $1,000. My policy, auto owners, is $500. So I said, "Yeah, that's a great idea. It's the first time I had done that." And I said, "Thanks, Brent." Called and State Farm gave me a check for $500. So which way do you want it, board? I'll be happy to drop this whole cost recovery thing. But then, when you look at the $36,000 that we've recovered with out of drunk driving, majority of that is, that does help a budget. Emergency services costs a lot of money. And we're the largest responding department in Allen County, and that's not easy to try to budget for.
And you don't have, actually, you don't have the option of dropping it. You don't.
No.
That's our policy.
That's our policy.
You're right.
Yeah.
So,
I'm just kind of frustrated.
I hear you, I get it, I
Nobody
completely get it,
brought
but I
up
just want
Yeah.
you to know, you're not carrying this on your shoulders, this is the board
Yeah.
policy.
And that's why we're here.
Right.
But you get
I
beat up.
truly believe,
Greg gets beat up for it all the time, so it is our policy.
and that's exactly why I wanted to come and have Craig shouldn't reply to any of this. Now, this letter in the Howland Sentinel, I don't know where this guy's coming from. I mean, he is way off base for individual private residents to require a pond
And where'd you get that?
Yeah.
at $10,000 to $20,000 and then pay inspections for it?
Yeah,
It's
who-
for certification. We do not do that, we've never done that. We actually were testing the dry hydrants for nothing. We did it as part of the service until the township changed the code.
Right. But in our state-of-the-art water tankers,
Well,
ask
where
these guys, are they state-of-the-art?
They were the cheapest ones available at the time.
One of them was 17 years old.
I think Jerry Becken drove those things.
Yeah, I looked around for them, I couldn't find them down there.
This-
That is very irresponsible.
And then one of my firefighters contacted me at 10 o'clock last night, so disturbed about this.
I don't blame them.
Well, in terms of action, it sounds like a letter for the commercial record.
We'll get that done quickly and then to the board quickly, so you can,
I think we need to reply to the Howland Sentinel.
That too, yeah.
That needs to be almost separate.
Yeah.
I think the thing we put.
Letter, right?
I
No,
think,
this is different.
I think in the commercial record, we need to put our taxpayers at ease on what we do here, and not worry about getting billed if they happen to have a fire. That was not their fault or their an accident. This, on the other hand, I think has to be just put to bed quick. And another letter sent specifically
Do that.
refuting all these things, because this is irresponsible.
Yeah, it's just not true, any of it.
I also agree with information on our own website with more of the facts that show actual volume of the cost recovery compared to total calls. And the dollar amount is so small, $5,000 over 5 years or whatever that is. So I think that is good information for the website, because people generally do need a source of truth that they can point back to. And they're not going to go digging in, policy documents to find that. So the more accessible, the better. And that's
So-
something though, so if someone else is on Facebook and they see a post like this, they can link back to the truth, on our website. It is important to have that.
So you think, like, cost recovery FAQ
Yeah.
on the website?
I think
I
Daniel
think
said
that-
that last time, I
yeah.
think that makes a lot of sense.
when it's all, the
It's
website's all free, it doesn't cost you, these
Yeah.
things, this can be on.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah,
Cost recovery, historical facts,
Mhm.
go,
There it is.
go look.
maybe, I can't see that chart real well.
What's in there?
It doesn't tell where the negligence was, and that's what you just clarified the front of this, what was really the truth about the furnace. If you're gonna put something on the website, it might be nice to have one little line of where the negligence
Well,
was.
let's be accurate, it wasn't a furnace.
Exactly, but you know my point. is
Right.
If
Yeah.
we're gonna put it on each incident, we should
Just-
say why it was considered negligent.
That's why it shows.
So put this full document,
Right.
not that chart. Yeah.
So, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna write a letter to Commercial Record and one to
Sun?
the Holland Sun? Correct?
I think,
You're leaving the observer out?
I mean,
Well, yeah, and I think we should put it to the Observer as well. I
Send it
think
to both of them, and Silver may or may not publish.
I feel like I've been slandered in the Holland paper, and I know they're pissed off too. I mean, you read this and it looks like, what the hell are they doing in Saugatuck?
Yeah.
And
Right.
none of this is true.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absurd.
You know, I also don't want this to become, I mean, he's using it as a political thing. I don't want to use it as political. I want the facts given, or, you know, we should give the facts of this individual property owner maintaining a pond, for heaven's sakes. That needs to be clarified, you know, the state-of-the-art truck for a pumper. I mean, give me a
I don't know
break.
anybody has a state-of-the-art pumper around here, or tanker.
Park Township.
Do you want
Here's the other thing that I've been hearing a little bit lately, and he mentioned that while we only have 1/3 of the votes on this joint fire board, Saugatuck Township pays about half the cost. That's true. Chris and I are two people, two and two. That's the way this thing was set up. And that's the way it is. Scott, you're actually live in the township.
Yeah.
So we actually have three.
Right.
But I've been appointed by all three boards.
Right. Now, the other thing is, I texted you today. Saugatuck Township pays 53% of the, they have 59% of the population. They pay for the services that get used.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't think that's that hard to figure out, that you pay what you get for. I mean, we have 59% and they're paying 53% of the budget.
Arguably, they're getting a bargain.
Well, they're used to the police situation, that's pretty,
Well, and I think when it comes right down to it, who's used this fire department more than the township and cost the fire department more money than the township? I'm sorry, Saugatuck and Douglas are way in the dirt, man, because
But-
every minute of Greg's day seems to go into township business. And,
But I don't want that to turn into a pissing match.
No, I don't
use
either.
it against us either.
no,
You know?
but.
You
you're
don't
getting-
care.
You get your money's worth.
Yeah, you're getting your money, you're getting our
That's
money's
my
worth.
point exactly. You
Now,
do
if-
get your money's worth.
If the township thinks they can spin off like the police department did and start their own, I'm not for it, and I'm a township resident.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
come on.
I'm sure you won't find many people.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can get those state-of-the-art pumpers downstairs, start there.
It'd be hard to be a tough sell if they're all getting 10% free,
Yeah.
that they're not paid for. So, start
sounds
your own,
like
you
you
get
should write
100%.
that letter, Eric.
This one really
Handle that, you have
got
to
my
give facts
goat.
on all that.
Or the chief, I mean, I can work with you.
Well, why
on
don't
that
we
kind of
both,
thing.
why don't you and Eric, you write the one to the Sentinel with the chief, and you,
Okay.
Dan, is that good with everybody else? And then
Correct the facts.
Get 'em
in
done.
there, yeah.
Well, sooner the
Including the
better.
percent, the 59, 53 thing you just said, all that.
Mr. Mantle?
Would you like those both shared to our website and via our social media as well, once they hit the paper?
Sure.
Yeah,
Would that, okay,
perfect.
so is that the motion?
Okay, so we need a motion.
That's a motion.
That's the motion.
So we need a motion for Dan and Greg to write the facts.
The response for the commercial
I make a
record.
motion that Dan and Greg write for the commercial record with the facts and the cost recovery, and that Eric, do we need a separate motion for that one? For Eric, you might
Yeah,
wanna
we
do
can
that
do
one.
all of
We can
them.
do it all at once.
And that Eric and Greg work on. Is there a
And that,
second?
and that both, when completed, go to the two local newspapers and website,
Mhm.
Right.
or three, or the.
And the second,
Yeah.
All local.
I'll second it.
All local.
Okay, so we've got a motion by Phelps and a second by Meridian. Is there more discussion?
Yeah, I would add that we can't just assume that Chris is gonna sign his name to it, so I think it needs to be sent out for approval on all board members, and if they sign off on it,
Yeah.
you sign off on it. You don't, you don't.
Would you publish it without Chris? You don't care if it's unanimous?
Well, we could, if we met and voted,
Yeah, we would.
we could send it without all our names, but voted and approved by a majority of the Saugatuck,
Mhm.
Yeah.
When's our next meetings in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, I have this out before the,
Yeah, you need it out fast. I mean,
I think it does need to, I think it needs to be out fast, but like I said, that's, to me, is political stuff doesn't mean hill beans to me, but I guess we do need to.
it needs
We're
to be up
there.
by next, it won't, it's too late this week, but it needs to be up by next week's paper.
Yeah, to be in next week's paper, it needs to be by this,
By,
by basically Friday or Saturday, I think. He can sometimes push it.
The Sentinel might be a little different, and they're
Maybe
pretty,
maybe the other one too, I don't know. But regardless.
to get it in next week's commercial record, it would have to be done by tomorrow morning, and to get it in the local observer would have to be done by Wednesday,
Tomorrow is,
Tuesday.
no, you can go much later than that, trust me.
For next week's,
He's a
for next week's
professional
paper.
writer.
Yes.
So the,
For a letter to, yeah, different for an ad where they gotta move stuff around, whatever, but the letter, particularly if you let them know.
if you
it's
want it
coming.
in this week's paper,
It won't make this week.
No, it won't make this week.
Cindy, what are you shaking your head about?
The deadline for the letters to the editor to the local observer is Wednesday at noon, and the commercial record is Tuesday. So it would, if you get it by Tuesday or Wednesday, it would be in this week's paper.
That's what I thought.
We're not gonna get it in this week's paper. We're gonna have to have,
You have to have a meeting.
All right,
We have
so
to
we'll have to have a
approve of
meeting
it.
to approve this.
could that be approved online? I mean, could that be approved by email, or is that
No.
violate?
I wouldn't think so.
You can't conduct a meeting online like that?
No, you can't, yeah. Yeah,
Can we have it this week?
we can have a 15-minute meeting whenever you want to have a 15-minute meeting. When would you like to
I
have
won't
it?
be here next week.
Friday?
Friday, anytime.
Yep.
I won't be here.
I have a football game to go to.
I won't be here.
What about earlier in the day?
This is out, I'm out.
Oh, you
I
don't
can,
have to be here.
I can do it earlier in the day.
Yeah, just do
Okay.
it earlier in the day. Pick a time to be
What
here.
time?
Fine.
All right, 10 o'clock on Friday? Sure.
I do have a job.
Karen's-
Well, so do I, but you did work out of my house, so I can.
Yeah.
Okay, so 10 o'clock on Friday, we'll have 15 minutes special meeting.
Well, what if Chris
Well-
is here, we'll have the same problem, won't we?
You say by
You
majority of
can always
votes.
proxy it, right? You read it and get a proxy vote,
We'll just, all we need is the majority of the board.
Yeah.
right? So you don't even have to be here, Aaron, if we have a majority.
Yeah, that's fine.
Don't you have that now?
Yeah, but we have to write the letter.
No.
Or you've
Okay.
already got one written.
Normally he does.
He's got a short.
I think,
I can't type that fast.
you don't wanna lose people's focus when they're reading something like that.
You're right.
It's,
It's way too.
boom, 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 and.
This is just plain wrong. The direction this is going on in favor is wrong.
I agree.
Almost
That's fueled by
unethical.
politics.
You want me to reread that motion then, Jane?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so motion by Phelps, second by Meridian, to write a letter to the editor from the Fire District Board about cost recovery to be published in all local papers, social media, and the Fire District website. And then,
And then there'll be an answer to the Howard Sentinel.
that would be a separate motion, right?
No, we're gonna do it all at once.
Okay.
Separate letter responding to,
Okay, cost recovery and
actually not cost
A letter from Eric Beckman responding to the
Water
letter.
supply, Holland Sentinel article.
And
Letter.
Letter.
Oh, Chris Yoder's.
Chris Yoder.
Chris Yoder's letter to the editor.
response. Can we read it one more time? Okay, motion by Phelps, second by Meridian, to write letters to the editor from the Fire District Board about cost recovery and response to Chris Yoder's letter to the editor in the Holland Sentinel to be published in all local papers, social media, and the Fire District website. Move.
Any more discussion? All those in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed? Okay, I've been in a lot of contacts with Steve Cushion today. I invited him to this meeting no less than 3 times. He started out the day, I'm going to read this to you just so we're all clear. Would you allow the township to submit documentation regarding our decisions to amend the cost recovery ordinance before tonight's meeting? I think it might be helpful for the fire board to understand where the township was coming from again. Thank you, Steve Cushion. I wrote, Steve, you can supply whatever materials you think would be helpful. You can speak during public comment. There appears to be misinformation on social media and in the papers that needs to be addressed. Then his reply to me is, we'll back up Brad's post. Thank you. Look for materials to be sent to you before the meeting today. I again said, feel free to join us. We will take any information you have to clear up this matter. Then his reply was, sounds like a blast, but I'm going to sit this one out. Then he wrote me, after speaking with Mr. Beckman, the township understands that this meeting is being called to formulate some questions that Mr. Beckman would like to have clarified from the township regarding cost recovery procedures. The township would be happy to respond to any questions the fire board may have regarding cost recovery, and you can send them to me after the meeting, and I will have them answered ASAP. I wrote to Steve, so this is the only communication you will be receiving from you. I do not want anything missed. And he said, yep, Eric said he was going to come up with some questions to get clarified tonight. That's all it is. I'll just respond when I get them. That's what all the communication I've had with Steve Cushion today. I asked him to come to this meeting several times, just so that's clear.
They won't come to our meetings.
We don't really have questions with them anyway.
Not really.
No, and that's one of the things I said to him. I said, you know, I want to ask the chief questions about these incidents and these articles. I know what the township's cost recovery is. I'm sure I have a copy of it somewhere, and we have the cities. They're not that far apart, but they are different. But we follow it's right here.
Okay, I just wanted that clear so that if anybody says anything about this meeting. Okay, we're all done. Moving on, public comments, 3 minutes. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Is there any public comments? Is there any fire board comments?
Yes, at the next meeting, I would like to have some Board of Appeals clarification, if we could, on who are we working for? I think there's a misconception that was a Township Board of Appeals. My feeling is it's a Saugatuck Township Fire District Board of Appeals.
Yeah,
It's not a township.
it's
Yes.
not a township board.
But I would love Mr. Sluggett to clarify that.
Okay,
And by the next meeting, you mean the next regular meeting?
Next regular meeting, no hurry there.
okay.
Hopefully, we don't have any more BOAs in the next couple minutes.
Any other fire board comments? Okay, it's meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.